All right, welcome everybody to the Frivolous podcast, episode 18. I'm your host Jacob, and welcome back. It's been a cool 2 weeks. It's been hot, man. It's been so hot. Like I think it's been hot, like honestly, in most places. But man, it's been really hot lately. It's still supposed to be like in the 90s the next few days after filming this, so it's gonna still be hot, and it's crazy because it's almost September, and which is crazy to me. This comes out in September, if I'm not mistaken, or it comes out like the last day of August. Either way, that's insane to me. Like I was talking to my dad last week, and he was like, "Yeah, next week on like September 2nd or whatever," and I was like, "September 2nd is next week?" It's crazy to me, how I feel like the year's gone by very fast. I don't know if that's just me, but it feels like it's gone by super fast. Like I hope that's not just me. And like I mentioned last episode, I don't really mind that because I do really enjoy September through December. Those are my favorite. That's my favorite time of the year. But it is just kind of crazy how fast it goes and how I'm getting older, and we're all getting older. I'm still young. I know. Don't give me that crap. Every time I mention that I'm old, like people at my work kind of just give me a look because, I mean, to the kids, I'm very old at work. I've had, by the way, like kids humble you so much because I've had kids be like, like when I started last year, they're like, "Oh, I thought you were like 35," and I was like, "Don't say that. Don't say that I look 10 years older than you think I do." I was like, I used to get mistaken for like high school or like 5 years ago. I guess I was 5 years ago. I'd been 19. Yeah, that makes sense. But now it's like, and now you think I'm almost in my 40s and I have like a whole family and like a 401k and things. Like, come on, like that's disrespectful. Come on, like. 8-year-olds out here destroying like any amount of confidence that I once had, then no, they just shred it. So that's cool. And I get to go back and work with them on tomorrow. The day I'm recording this is Sunday, so it'll be tomorrow that I start work again. But you guys are hearing this Wednesday, obviously, so I'll already be back at work, which is exciting. Oh man, like I tried hard. I tried to get a summer job and it didn't work out. So, but man, I've been wanting to work, which is weird. I like working and I like making money. I mean, who doesn't like making money? But like not having like an actual income for the past like 2 months or so has been a bit stressful. But that's okay. The good news is I'm working more this year than I was last year, so which is exciting. I have more hours, and I think there's room to even get more hours, so that's cool. And I'm really looking forward to that. And then and what happens after that, who knows? I'm looking into getting other jobs where I'm actually making some, I don't want to say big bucks because it's really not in the grand scheme of things, but compared to what I've made since I've been working, it would be big bucks. Like I think I'm not going to say the most I've made in a year, but it's not a lot because I've worked, fast food and retail jobs, so, and now at a school. So it's not like I've been working these high-end jobs with a lot of money, so that's a bit exciting. But I still need to like focus on obviously this school year and focus on getting my master's and whatever I want to get my master's in. There's so many things that intrigue me with master's degrees, and it's so frustrating because like I have this degree in psychology, which I really am intrigued and love psychology. It's so something that really speaks to me, but I've had so many, I don't want to say ups and downs, but I've gone back and forth on so many like things that I'd be interested in for psychology, and that's annoying for me. My original plan was to get a master's degree in like counseling, but after like really thinking about it, this past year when I've been like I was kind of counseling some of the kids at the school, I was like, man, like I didn't mind doing it. I obviously have no problem helping people out. But I was just like, I don't know if this is what I want to do for my career. Like I said, I really enjoy helping people out, and like if somebody needs somebody to vent to, I have no problem being that person. Especially when you got some like high schoolers who are just confused about anything and everything. Like that's just a tough time, and to feel alone during that time can be absolutely horrible. And so I don't want anybody to feel that way. But it's just like I'm like, man, this is. I don't want to say it's a depressing job because it can be very rewarding, but like it can be really, really tough. And I've just been thinking about that. I'm like, man, could I really do that? And I also, like, to be honest, I felt a lot of pressure thinking about that. Like, whoa, like these people are coming to me and like hoping that I can not necessarily like cure them, but like help them and put them on, put them towards the right path, which I think I could do, but it's just like very stressful to think like, oh, what if I accidentally mess up and say one thing that accidentally puts them on the wrong path, and then I'll feel guilty and I'll be thinking about that forever, and I'll feel bad and they won't come talk to me anymore. So that's one reason why I've been steering away from that. And then, as you guys know, I mentioned episodes ago, that I was interested in sports psychology, but from the research I've seen, it's basically like a doctorate or nothing. So it's like, all right, I'm not getting a doctorate. I've been going to school for, if you count kindergarten through high school, that's 13 years. And then if you count now, obviously college, I've been going to school for like 17 years of my life. I don't want to be in it much longer. Like a master's degree, depending on the program, can take anywhere from like 1 to 2 years, which I'm totally fine with. I think that would be great. And honestly, depending on the program that you choose, you can actually speed it up depending on how much you take and whatnot. So like I would choose to take it the fastest way that I could feasibly do it without obviously overworking or overwhelming myself, which would probably be closer to a year and a half, which again, I'm totally fine with. That's not a long time at all. But I have to figure out what I want to do for the master's, and sports psychology is like, you pretty much need a doctorate. And a doctorate is, if a master's is 1 to 2 years, a doctorate I'm pretty sure is anywhere from an additional 2 to 4 at least. And it depends, it varies on the doctorate degree. So obviously some are different than others. But I'm just like, I don't want to be doing that. I don't want to be, because I'm 24. I had to think about that. I don't want to be like 30 and still in school. And don't get me wrong, if I'm getting my doctorate, I could have like a job, like a career job, obviously. But I'm just like, I don't want to be like 30 and still going to school, and then I'll be done by 30, and I'm like, okay, I'm done. Like, I would rather get my master's in whatever I want to get my master's in, and then move forward, like just move on. And then if I end up wanting to get my doctorate at like the age of 40 or whatever, that's cool. We can do that. But I just want to be able to I want to start my career job now so I can like start to enjoy what I do and start to accrue experience, and then obviously be able to work my way up in future endeavors and future jobs and whatnot. Anyways, so I went from counseling to sports psychology, and I'm not really on to this right now because I haven't looked a ton into it. What I have looked into it, it does appear that doctorate is more than likely what's needed for the most part, which when I say it is going to make a bunch of sense. But something that does really intrigue me is the thought of forensic psychology. Obviously, forensics has to do with, like crime and evidence and like fingerprints and DNA, all that kind of stuff. And so obviously, if you needed a doctorate for it, that makes sense that you would need, because there's a lot of stuff that you need to know, and it's a very high level, important job. And I really think that'd be cool because if you know me, if you've been listening to this, I love anything, like I love true crime stuff, and I find like I don't find crime fascinating, but I find true crime like interesting, like the minds of people who do bad things, like the minds of like felons and criminals and villains. I said villains as if we're in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But like I do find that interesting to think about, like, all right, what made them this way, and I've mentioned that before. And so like being able to work at a job where I can kind of like help deter, like, I don't want to say catch bad guys because that's such a cliche thing to say, but like where I kind of like help out, I think would be really cool. And I could still like work with, I almost said work with criminals. I don't want to work with criminals, but work in the crime field, the criminal field, and criminal justice system. That's what I'm looking for. And like, I think it'd be cool. I don't want to say cool, but I think it would be interesting because like I said, that stuff I've always found intriguing. But, like I said, if a doctor is more than likely needed, and I do think that job would be more depressing and more like, it'd be harder than any of the other jobs that I was talking about, like counseling or sports psychology. And it would be more depressing than any of them because obviously I would see things that I wouldn't want to see. But it's just always intrigued me. Like I don't want to use this as an example, but like every TV show that you watch with like forensics, I've always been like, oh, that looks so cool. Like you've got like CSI or Criminal Minds or Dexter, you know, and obviously that's like dramatized. I'm not saying that's like that's accurate. That's how it is, but like it just always has seemed like interesting to me to be able to like fight crime and like be able to work in a lab, and then it gives you evidence for like a real life case. It's just very interesting to me. But like I said, if I have to do 6 years of school to do that, I'm not going to do that. And I have unfortunately zero like criminal justice classes or credits on my degree right now because I didn't take any of those types of classes, so I don't know if that would help either. I'm really just talking, like thinking out loud right now. I'm talking out loud. Yeah, obviously that's what a podcast is. I'm just thinking out loud. I've been weighing a bunch of options, and like I've been talking to advisors from like universities, and they've been absolutely zero help. This is, you know what? We're going on a pet peeves rant. This is so annoying to me. Okay, academic advisors at universities, honestly, I don't want to generalize and say that, but they honestly kind of suck. I'll be honest. And here's why I'm saying that. And that's not every single one, obviously. If you're an academic advisor, don't be like, hey, that's not nice. But like I emailed this guy because I wanted to get information about their forensic psychology master's program. So I emailed him and I was like, hey, like if you could, I just emailed him like listing out all the the questions I have. I was like, if you can answer any of these, that'd be great, you know, and you know, just email me back here. And so I emailed him, and the dude replies, and he's like, oh, if you just look on our website here, it shows you all the requirements and what you can expect. And I was like, oh, okay. So I go to the website, I found the thing that I was looking for, which actually it was kind of helpful. Don't get me wrong. So it like showed all their master's programs and like the classes you would take, the amount of time it would approximately take to complete the master's program, so on and so forth. And it showed me like the types of jobs I could potentially get with it, which was, all right, this is helpful. But I was asking him questions pertaining to my specific state, and I was like, do you know anything about this, or like what resource I could do to like what requirements I would need for if I got a forensic psychology master's degree, is that enough to get a job in the state that I live in? And like he just completely like ignored it, and it was like, well, if you do this, it's basically just, it always came back to like, if you just email, sign up, and we'll call you. And I'm like, that's not what I'm asking you. I'm like, answer my question. If you don't know, that's okay. Hey, I understand you're not Google and you're not an encyclopedia. You're not going to know every single thing that I ask you, but just tell me you don't know, and then I can like ask elsewhere. Because instead, they just keep calling, and I tell them I don't want to talk for like 45 minutes to an hour when I've got two questions that I feel like you guys aren't going to answer because you're just going to try to make it to where I go to your college so you can get my shmoney, okay? It's just so frustrating. I'm like, just please answer my questions. I'm so confused and overwhelmed about the possibilities of my future, and you're just over here being like, you should come to the university. Oh, we invite you to come to this seminar. I'm like, dude, I'm not doing that. Like, oh, it's so frustrating, man. Like, I get their job is supposed to like bring in new students and like to the school and whatnot. Don't get me wrong. Like, I completely understand that. But like, you could answer if you answer my questions in a way that's like helpful to me, I will be far more inclined to go to your university instead of you just like shoving the university down my throat. You know what I mean? Put what I need first, and then we'll talk about the university next, okay? And that sounds selfish, but in the grand scheme, in the way that oh my goodness, the way that works, yeah, okay, that's right, is that the person like reaching out to you about questions, and whatever other student or potential student reaches out to questions for the academic advisor, they're the priority. You want to steer them towards your university, of course, but answer their questions and make them feel helped. And then they'll be like, oh, okay, like this advisor was super helpful at this university, and now I know that they offer all this, and if I complete this program in 1 to 2 years, I can end up getting a job like this in my state. But no, I didn't get any of those questions answered, so I was very frustrated, and I still am. And they keep emailing me and be like, are you still interested? And I'm just like, honestly, I don't know anymore. You've dug your own grave at this point, and so I don't know. So if you're an academic advisor, just remember that, okay? Because that's so infuriating, and it's probably not something a lot of people can relate to, but it is just annoying when it's like help me, and I'll potentially help you by going to the university. Like, I've already showed a bit of interest, so now you got to reel me in more. Don't just keep being like, don't keep sending me to the university. Like, answer my flipping questions. Oh, anyways. Anyways, that was a tangent that I didn't need to go on, but it's just so annoying to me. It's so frustrating. And like I said, my questions weren't answered. My questions weren't really answered. So I'm still researching and trying to figure things out for whatever the heck I'm going to do with my future. Because I can start a master's program for certain schools online. I can start that like anytime, and I want to start that at any time. The sooner I start, the sooner I'm done, the sooner I have the degree, the sooner I can have a potential like higher paying career job, and then I can put that money towards a house and like actually start beginning like a new chapter of my life. But I can't do that if I don't have questions answered. Josh, the academic advisor's name is Josh, so I'm calling him out. He doesn't. There's a zero chance he listens to my podcast. I'm gonna get an email. I'm gonna get an email on Thursdays. He's like, "Why'd you call me out, bro?" Just some random guy, academic advisor, just like, "Hey, dude, that's not very nice." Okay, speaking of, there's no transitions. I probably should work on transitions. I can't transitions. Why couldn't I say that? Transitions more, but I really don't work on them very much, and so the podcast seems very. It just seems very jumpy. I jump from topic to topic, but I did mention Marvel like for a split second, and I wanted to talk about Marvel for a second, and any Marvel fanboys, do not get mad at me, okay? Do not get mad at me. Because I've come to I think I had an epiphany. As I came to a realization, had this epiphany, and I wrote it down a couple weeks ago when I thought of it, because I wanted to talk about it on the podcast. As you guys know, I've been very outspoken about my I don't want to say disdain, but just my lack of interest in the Marvel movies and Marvel Cinematic Universe is what I should really say. I liked basically most of the movies up until like the first Avengers. I thought the first Avengers was good, but then like after that, I was like, all right, everything's kind of meh. And there were some good ones in between there. Obviously, I'm not gonna say that there weren't. And I do really enjoy the Spider-Man movies still, like the Tom Holland ones. I've seen all of them except the latest one, which is No Way Home. I think I haven't seen that one, but I've seen the rest, and I really enjoyed those movies. So that's really like the Spider-Man movies are currently the only like new Marvel movies that I enjoy. And I want to say, well, and like I haven't seen a movie, like I haven't seen Black Panther, which I've heard is really good, so I do need to see that. So that one's omitted from it, but that's gonna be so hard for me to watch because poor Chadwick passed away. But I haven't seen like Black Panther. I haven't seen Ant-Man, which I've heard was okay too. So there's some that I haven't seen, so don't get like, hey, that's not fair because these ones are good. I haven't seen like a decent amount, but I haven't seen it a lot. Some of them because I just like Marvel just doesn't intrigue me a lot. Like the dialogue in some of it is just very cheesy to me. Like they're constantly making like some cheesy, sometimes forced jokes. And sometimes it works. Like, obviously, Robert Downey Jr. or Tony Stark, he had some good, funny moments. But, like, other times I'm just like, all right, like, we don't have to make the villains, like, these dorky, funny guys every time. You know what I mean? And obviously, again, that's not the case in every movie. But you get what I'm saying. And it's just, like, I think that's why, too, I prefer a bit more, like, and again, I will say DC movies are completely garbage compared to Marvel movies just because Marvel is so organized. And like DC, if you guys have ever seen SpongeBob, that episode where they show inside his brain and like everything's on fire and like all the little mini SpongeBobs in his brain are running around and everything's on fire and the papers are burning, they're freaking out, crying and yelling. That is how it is at DC's headquarters when they're like planning stuff out. It's ridiculous. Marvel, on the other hand, is just like so well organized and thought out, and like Marvel has stuff planned for 2074. I bet like they're that far ahead. They're like, all right, this movie that comes out now, it's gonna tie into to Thor 47 that comes out in 2074, and it's gonna be, and everybody's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Like they're all on board with it. Like they've already I bet you they have like the next 50 movies written because they're very well organized, and I will give them props to that every day of the week. I will say their multiverse and their writing and the way like almost everything ties together from, you know, Iron Man 1, I think that was technically the start of it. From like Iron Man 1 to like Doctor Strange now, like there's so many things that tie together, which is very impressive because that's a very long period of time to like have to consider when you're writing movies and stuff. So that's very awesome. But I think a reason I prefer, say, like the Batman movies over, I mean, I prefer them over like Spider-Man, and I do really like the Spider-Man movies, is because I think I enjoy the fact that they're a bit darker. And I don't mean like literally in the sense that it's dark, which funny enough, it is actually dark in those Batman movies. But I prefer when it's a bit, because, you know, when it comes to like a superhero and like saving a city against a supervillain and like crime and whatnot, it's not gonna be as happy-go-lucky as like as bright and colorful as Marvel makes it out to be. Now, is it gonna be as dark as DC makes it out to be? Probably not. There's probably like a good like middles area for both. But like I feel like what's more realistic is if you have a superhero, let's just like Batman or Spider-Man, they're gonna be beating up guys. Like Batman's is out during the night. Obviously, that's just saying he's the Dark Knight and whatever. And like that makes sense to me. He's just like it's just the villains are a lot darker and they're a lot more sinister. And honestly, in Batman's case, a lot of his villains are human. Like obviously, there's some that aren't. But when you think about like the Joker and Penguin, and you have Mr. Freeze, is that his name? Mr. Freeze is technically human. And I mean, Catwoman's not really an enemy, not really a villain, but they sometimes beef a little bit, And then Poison Ivy technically, well, Poison Ivy's a weird one. I don't know about that one. Scarecrow, but like you get my point. Like he has all these villains that are like humans, as opposed to obviously in Marvel's universe there's more. I guess like aliens or non-human villains. I don't know. I just feel like if you had aliens invading, it would be a lot more dark and sinister than like how Marvel portrays it to be. In my opinion, like it's just if that makes any sense. And I'm not saying that there's not like dark moments in Marvel movies, but it's like I said, there's a lot of like weird, goofy dialogue and comedy mixed in with it spots. While as a movie like Batman is just like for example, the new Batman that came out with, I think it's called The Batman, with Robert Pattinson. Like that movie from like almost start to finish is just like nonstop, like stuff's happening, right? Like, he's fighting bad guys or like trying to like save the city from like start to finish almost. It's very just like action packed and it's very good in my opinion. I really enjoyed the movie. And to me, like the way it was portrayed made sense, and it showed like how much it can affect the people, like just the random citizens. And I like when they have, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but they have a scene where they're all in an arena, I believe it's an arena, and like they're all like there to like as a safe haven or whatever, and then like people start attacking in the arena. Like that just shows like how dark and sinister it can be. And the scary part is it's just regular people doing this that are doing it because like the Riddler told them to do. The Riddler, who is also human, by the way. And it's like I think the fact that like the DC, like Batman's villains are like primarily human, that just makes it a bit more creepy to me, and I think I enjoyed that because it feels more realistic compared to what Marvel puts out, and maybe that's why I prefer it. And I think that's what I've been trying to say for the past 5 minutes, but I was really struggling with saying it. I hope that makes sense. Like like I said, I like Spider-Man is a great example of Marvel movies that I like, but it's just like I don't think we need to always be like super happy and like you know what I mean? Like even in like dark times, the movie I still don't feel super like moved. I mean, maybe I don't know. I should probably just stop talking about it because I feel like I'm just rambling at this point because I'm trying to like put my thoughts together and I'm doing a poor job of doing it. So I'm sorry about that. I might I don't know. It's I'm gonna get hate for that because a lot of people love Marvel and I totally get that. I totally get why people like Marvel, but I just they have to make it a bit lighter because they're Disney. They're owned by Disney, and Disney can't, like, God forbid people swear. I mean, obviously they're swearing in Avengers and Marvel movies, but like God forbid that there's swearing or, there's killing or like there's blood and gore and like actual dark stuff on Disney. Because in Disney headquarters, everything's sunshine and rainbows and perfect, right? Nothing ever is wrong at Disney Channel and at Disney headquarters, nothing at all. That's a whole nother topic for another day. Maybe my real beef was with Disney because I hate how everything is like so perfect over there. I'm like, you guys are just so out of touch with reality. But to be fair, they're making trillions upon billions upon quadrillions of dollars. So what do I know? I just final point about the Marvel versus like Batman thing. I'm saying Batman because every other DC movie is just not good. I think like if Marvel just made it a bit more realistic and like a bit more. I want to say a bit more sinister. Like I want these villains to be like genuinely like putting the like I want to see these people like in harm's way. Like most of the time we see these villains and they're fighting like the superhero. They're fighting Spider-Man or Iron Man or Captain America. Like I want to see like I just want to see a villain in Spider-Man's world or whatever superhero they have that just starts murdering a bunch of random people, and we see them getting killed, or not. We don't have to see them getting killed, but we just see like the destruction and like the bodies like laying behind them. I want to see that, because then I'll be like, holy crap, this is like dark and insane, like what Spider-Man or Iron Man or whoever has to like do to like save a city before, or save the world before this alien or person or whatever like destroys everybody. You know what I mean? Like that, I would be like, all right, cool. Also, like, how does it take 400 different freaking superheroes to kill one alien dude, Thanos? I know he's like a god or half god or whatever, but it's like, also, why are we making this gauntlet that can just like snap the universe in half? Like, what, or like snap half the universe? Like, you know what I mean? Like, just come on, guys. Let's just not, like, there was what, like 4 or 5 Infinity Stones. Like, just don't give them to him. Just, I would simply, if I was a superhero in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I simply wouldn't have let Thanos get the Infinity Stones. I simply wouldn't. But I'm also built different, so I don't know. It's so dumb. That's so dumb. I'm obviously kidding. I know there's more plot to it. I'm totally joking on that. Anyways, that was a bit of a rant. But that wasn't even what I wanted to say. Isn't that dumb? Isn't that crazy? What I really wanted to say about Marvel, but like I guess that was a different epiphany that I had talking about it, because I do think that's a real reason I dislike it, is because it's it's less dark than I think it could be. And I think maybe they'll get to that point at some point. But again, when you're owned by Disney, it's a lot harder to get an approval of dark and sinister stuff than it is for, like, you know, still action packed and still killing, but like less, you know, defined, I guess. And again, I don't need to see people getting like brutally murdered by these villains. I want to see like how dire the situation is by seeing like how just reckless and how little they care about like the human race, or you know what I mean? Anyways, what I really another reason I think I really dislike MCU, I'm gonna get so much hate for this episode. I'm so sorry. Okay. I hesitate to say that I really dislike it. I have issues with it, and I think my biggest issue with it is the fans. Yeah, I just went on a tangent about like the darkness of it and the lack of like realism to it a bit, but I can understand, like, I understand that from like a business standpoint. They kind of have to, but man, do the fans just bug the crap out of me. And I had this realization actually because of Stranger Things, which is the weirdest. There's no correlation to those two things, obviously, but I've been seeing on TikTok. If you have TikTok, like you'll potentially see these people that are acting very cringy about the Stranger Things season 4. And what's his name? Oh my god, what's his name? The guy that Eddie. Thank you, Eddie. I don't know why I said thank you. I nobody told me that. I just remembered it. Eddie was very well liked character on the show, and like, you know, he took the world by storm, which is totally fine. I haven't seen season 4, but he seems like a great character. And there's that one scene where he like does the like I'm crazy or whatever, and he does that or whatever, which is not cringy for the writing or for the context of the show. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's a ton of people on TikTok that keep recreating that, and I keep seeing like these like they're like cringe pages where they post like cringy videos and they're like reacting to it, and I keep seeing them, and I'm just like, man. And all the comments are like, you know, we went 3 seasons without getting like a fan base like this, and now we have this cringy fan base. Like the captions of their videos when they're like recreating the scene of Eddie where he does puts the horns on his head or whatever, they're like, Eddie could be my boyfriend, or Eddie be my boyfriend, or something, like just like stuff like that. And I'm like, oh my god, it's just so bad, it's so cringy. And like all like the lifelong season like 1 through 3 Stranger Things fans are like, you know, we went 3 seasons without having to like have these types of fans in our fan base that are, because like people like, it's people like that make people hate Stranger Things fans, because it's like, oh, that's what they associate with. Because obviously you're not going to see like normal fans, because normal fans aren't doing weird stuff like that. They're not just, you know what I mean? They're not going to be cringy like that. And it's same with Marvel. I'm not going to see the normal Marvel fans that are rational and be like, oh, you don't like the Marvel movies? That's understandable. That's fine. I do, but like it's understandable that you don't, and whatever. And like can admit flaws and stuff. Like I think a true fan of anything, no matter what it is, you can admit flaws to it. Like that's how it is. Like my favorite TV show of all time is The Office. That's probably my favorite. That might be debatable, actually. I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's one of my favorite TV shows of all time. But I know people that say, "Oh, I can't really watch The Office because it just makes me uncomfortable and awkward." And I'm like, that's understandable. Some of that comedy is definitely like makes you uncomfortable and it's awkward and it like makes you a bit anxious. So I totally get that. It's not for everybody. We're all different. We all have different like tastes and interests and things that like we like. But you get like these Stranger like the Stranger Things one is a great example of it because they. For first 3 seasons, it was like, all right, like everybody was like, oh, we all like everybody loved Stranger Things. Like it was not really hated on by much. And now it's like season 4 came out, and I'll read comments on like these Stranger Things posts, and people say like people are like talking crap about Stranger Things and their fans because they see these cringy fans that have come out of the woodworks because of a character like Eddie, which again was written. The character seems to be written well. I'm not like this is not against the writers of the show. It's against the like it's part of the fan base. And so it's like all these people are just like, man, like we're getting all this hate because of people like this. When it's like this does not represent the whole. It doesn't represent the majority of the fan base. You just get like those. I guess you can call them stans, you know, where it's like their TikTok or Twitter or Instagram accounts become dedicated to a character from a show or whatever, you know. So it's like they're like dedicated to Eddie from Stranger Things, and it's just like, all right, like, yeah, he's a cool character, but it's like that. Don't make that your whole personality. You know what I mean? Like, don't make that your whole thing. I hope that makes sense. It just sounds so weird, but I think it's fans like that you see in Stranger Things, like the ones that are just making these cringy TikToks about and like reacting that. And by the way, when they recreate the scene, and if you've seen Stranger Things seasons 4, you know exactly the scene I'm talking about. But if you see them recreate this, it's so. Like it makes my dude, it just makes me cringe so hard even thinking about it. I'm not even seeing it. So if you have time, honestly, go to TikTok and look up like Stranger Things, like Eddie, Eddie cringe, and I'm sure it'll come up with people reenacting parts from the show, and that'll make you cringe. But I think it's stuff like that. That's why I don't like Marvel, because there's so many fans out there, and again, it's not the majority because you don't hear from the majority. You always hear from the minority of people. In cases like this, where it's like you hear the loudest are like people that you don't want to see, but like the people that are normal fans are just like quiet and don't talk about it all the time because it's not their whole life and it's not their whole personality. Like I know people who love the Marvel movies, but they understand why I don't love the Marvel movies, and they're not like, oh wow, like it's not their whole personality. Like, oh, okay, that makes sense. You know what I mean? And that's the conversation. There's nothing after that. But there will be people on the internet, and internet's a bad example, but like there'll be people that like, oh, I don't get how you could think like Endgame, or I don't know how you could think Thor: Love and Thunder was bad, and this and that, and it's just like, I mean, like, dude, you don't have, not everything that this thing that you love has to be perfect. Marvel's not going to always have a great movie. Trust me. I have seen some movies and TV shows from like companies or like franchises that I enjoy that have ended up being really bad. And like it sucks, and you're like, oh man, that really sucks. But I can admit that they're bad. And that's part of being a fan, is admitting, hey, like, did we really need Toy Story 4? You know what I mean? Like, I love Toy Story, but do we need the 4th one? Like, I didn't think that was a great movie, for example. So it's like, we don't always have to just be ignorant to the flaws of something because we're a fan of it. I think if a true fan, like I said earlier, is one who can recognize, oh, this was kind of not it. This was bad. We gotta work on something else because this is not what we should be doing. But like when you have those loud fans that just like can't admit flaws, and it's like, I can't believe that everything this new Marvel show is so perfect, and I'm just like, oh my god, like shut up. Like how much was I paying you to just like how like they're just brown nosing Marvel, as if like the Marvel executives are like replying back like, thank you so much for saying that. It really means a lot that your opinion matters, Sarah from North Dakota. We really appreciate that. I don't know why I'm beefing so hard. I'm beefing hard with Stranger Things fans. Well, not all. No, with cringy Stranger Things fans. Not Stranger. I enjoy Stranger Things. So, well, I enjoyed the first season. Stranger Things fans and Marvel. So I'm about to be getting a hate storm from all 3 of my listeners. So that's gonna be crazy. I'll stop talking about it. But I know that you guys know what I'm talking about, which is nice. Like you guys know like the type of fans I'm talking about, and there's fans like that in every fan base. To be fair, I'm not trying to single out those 2 things, but the 2 examples that I listed are 2. Like the Marvel Cinematic Universe is probably like the biggest movie like movie franchise brand. I don't know what you call it, but that's probably the biggest thing in the world right now. And Stranger Things is one of, if not the biggest show in the world right now, too. So it's like those are two just prime examples of it. And that's that. And I can talk about it for a lot longer, but I won't. I promise I won't this episode. Next episode, who knows? Because I'm gonna get a guest that comes on. I guarantee you, I'll have one of my friends come on that'll definitely challenge me on my Marvel hate, and I'll probably just go off. But until then, I'll stop talking about it because I have talked about it ad nauseum. Speaking of, I'll talk about one more thing. Don't do rank up. Speaking of, dude, I talked about bad movies. Like briefly, I talked about like admitting a movie is bad and being disappointed by it. As I mentioned, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, last episode, I mentioned the app Q, and I have a bunch of like horror movies that I'm wanting to watch on there. And so yesterday, Saturday, I decided I was like, I hadn't watched one of my horror movies in a while, and I was like, I need to watch one of these horror movies. So I was like, let's just do it. I've just been binge watching CSI, I'll be honest with you guys. But I was like, all right, I'm gonna watch one of these horror movies because I haven't watched one in a long time and I really need to. So I just randomly picked one from, actually no, I think there's like a spinner you can on the app and I just spun it and it landed on this one called Terrifier. And I don't remember how it got on my list. I don't know if I looked up, because there was a point in time where I looked up like the 100 best horror movies of the 2020s or the 2010s, 2000s, or of all time, a bunch of things. And I added a ton to my list, and I ended up putting that list into the app called Q. And then I also follow TikTok pages that recommend horror movies and stuff. So I don't know if I got it from one of those TikTok pages, one of the articles I read, from a TikTok comment, because I do get some from comments as well. But I got this movie on there, and if you look up Terrifier, it's actually the main thing is about the villain, the antagonist is called Art the Clown. His name's Art the Clown, and Art the Clown is actually very creepy. Like when you see the cover art or of the movie, you're like, oh my goodness, that's actually a very creepy villain. And so I saw that, and already I was like, all right, I'm a little wary of it, because I'm like, I was wary of it in a way that oh, this is gonna be scary, right? And I go to watch the movie, and when I tell you, and I'm not joking when I say this, it is the second. It's probably, I don't want to say second. It might be. I think it's probably the second or third worst horror movie I've ever seen. I'm not joking, and obviously you guys know what my number one is. It's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre that came out 8 months ago or whatever. And number two is probably Thanksgiving, which is about a freaking turkey that murders people and people. That movie, Thanksgiving, look it up. Don't watch it, but look it up and you'll see just how crazy it is. There's 2 or 3 of them, but it's about this turkey who kills people, and at one point he disguised himself as one of the kids' dads because he wore you just put on the sheriff's outfit, and they thought it was the dad. And I was like, it's a literal turkey. I don't get how you think that. Anyways, that's a different topic for a different day. Maybe I should talk about that on an episode though. I should talk about that very in length. I don't know. I should talk about it a lot. Okay. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Anyways, this movie Terrifier is probably it might be worse than the Killing Turkey one. And here's the thing, and it's very frustrating because like I said, the actual villain, Art the Clown, is actually very creepy, like I said. And there's a lot of potential with that character in my opinion. There's a lot of potential with it because of how creepy he is. But it is just so it was so bad. And I'm gonna talk about it, and I might say spoilers in it. So if for some reason you really want to waste an hour and 24 minutes of your life, it's on Tubi. It's on Tubi or Pluto. I don't remember. But I'm telling you this so that you don't watch it, genuinely. But if you want, I might spoil it, and I don't feel bad. It's been out for 5 years. So basically, it's about it's Halloween, and there's these 2 friends that are coming back from a Halloween party, and one's drunk, the other one's not, and they go to eat. I'm actually not gonna go into that much detail because there's no point. But basically, it's they're coming home from this party, and they go to this diner, and this creepy clown, Art the Clown, walks in and he like has this big trash bag with him, and he's very creepy looking. He's just creepy, and he goes and sits down at a booth like diagonal from the girls, and like he's just staring at them the whole time. And like I said, he's very creepy. He is genuinely creepy. Like that's probably the only part of the movie that I will give credit to. But the way the movie is shot, like it's very weird. Like if you just watch the trailer for it, you can tell the way it's shot is really weird. Like it's not, I don't know how to describe it. It seems like they put like a filter on the entire movie, and it makes it look weird. I don't know if they put the filter trying to make it look darker or what, but it makes a lot of the movie just look a little weird, and like it was shot from like a camcorder from 2007, even though this is like a professional movie that had like a budget of $40,000. Which isn't a lot in terms of movies. It is technically like a more of an indie type movie and film, but still like a camera doesn't naturally give you the look that it's giving you. So they obviously put a filter of some sort or a hue, like a color hue on it of some sort, which was very bizarre. And so like I said, I'm gonna spoil this movie. So this guy, this clown, is just being creepy and whatever, and he ends up killing the two of the workers at the diner, or I think it's a pizza shop that he ends up killing the two workers there, and he slashed the girl's tires in their car at some point too, because he can be everywhere, I guess. And so they're just sitting in the car, but they can't drive it because the tires are slashed, and the girl calls like, "Hey sister, can you come pick me up?" And she's like, "Okay." And apparently the sister lives freaking 3 hours away, by the way, because she doesn't get there till like towards the end of the movie. And so, but then the non-drunk girl has to pee, and the drunk girl's like, just pop a squat in the street. And the girl's like, I can't. So this guy who's fumigating an old warehouse for whatever reason, because when you see the old warehouse, it looks like it's been abandoned for 50, 60 years. So I don't know if they were trying to like refurbish it for a business or what, but like just this guy's fumigating it, even though the place is just disgusting and old. So she goes to pee in there, and then like she starts exploring the old warehouse, and I was like, just go back to the car with your friend. I don't know what you're doing. Like what are you doing? She's just exploring this old creepy warehouse, and I'm like, all right, that's like, you're asking to die. And then she runs into like a homeless lady who's insane, and then eventually somehow the clown catches up and grabs the friend from the car, and they all end up in this warehouse, and the friend ends up being like in shackles, and then the other girl ends up getting like caught by the clown, and they end up like fighting for a little bit. Like he like stabs her leg or something. Like he like stabs her ankle, and which would hurt so bad. But he like stabs her ankle or something, and then like he eventually gets her tied up, and like he kills the drunk friend in front of the main character, and she's like freaking out, understandably so. But like he chops her in half with a freaking like handsaw. Like he just starts chopping, and I'm like, how strong is this dude? Like it so unnecessarily over the top. And then the girl somehow escapes the freaking, like, she's tied up and like it, but she somehow escapes it and starts running away. And then eventually, again, these are spoilers. All these are spoilers, so I'm sorry, but I'm not. He ends up catching up to her and just starts like killing her. Like, I don't remember if he like stabs her or what. I'll be honest with you guys, I was not paying attention for half the movie because I was so genuinely bored, and I wanted to turn it off, but I was like, I have to finish it because I have to. It's one of those, like, I can't like start a movie and then like stop watching it. It's very hard for me to do that. So I was like, I just kept watching it, and he like shoots this girl a couple times, and she's still alive, but he runs out of ammo. So he walks all the way back. They're like at the end of the warehouse or something. He walks all the way back to the front, which he's locked the doors of. And the sister's yelling out for the sister finally shows up, by the way. After the one friend's dead, the main character's about to be dead. The sister finally shows up and is like, I think the girl's name was Tara. And she's like, Tara, are you there? Everything okay? Oh my gosh. And she like calls the phone, and then like the clown texts her from the phone. Anyways, so, and she's like, meet me out back because I'm sick or whatever. So she's like, oh, okay. And it's a little middle of the night, like 3 a.m, pitch black, dark, creepy neighborhood, creepy warehouse. She's like, okay, I'll go meet you out back. And so the clown goes, reloads his gun, and then goes up to the main girl, Tara, and just empties the clip in her face. Like so excessive for like no reason. And like all of this, by the way, like it's just the way it's done is so cringy. Like they try to make the clown funny for some reason. Like they force it. Like they'll have moments where like the clown doesn't talk, by the way, he's basically a mime. But like they'll have moments where he's like laughing after he kills somebody, and like I get that that's to add creepiness to it, but like the way it's done is just so weird and not it's not well done. And he like will have times where he's like staring at them and he'll just make like these funny faces, and I'm like, all right, like I get what they're trying to do, but it wasn't. It was just more weird and like awkward and cringe to me than it was like creepy. Just the way it was shot. And just like everything about it, everything about like the scene, like there's this scene where I'm going back and forth here because Tara's still alive in the scene I'm talking about, but she's like hiding from him behind a car, and like so she's looking underneath the car, like looking at his legs, which that's a smart thing to do. But then she sees his legs go away, and she just stays there, like if like he was like in front of her, but the car was blocking it. And then so he starts walking in front of the car, and she just like stays there. And I'm like, you saw his legs go towards the front of the car. You need to adjust and go towards the back of the car so that you constantly have the car in between you. Like, what are you doing? And then like he eventually caught her and obviously killed her, as I said. But that's not even the worst part of it. The worst part, like the dialogue is so bad. The whole like chase scenes are bad. The logic behind the characters is bad even for a horror movie, because obviously horror movie logic in the main characters is pretty bad. They're like, oh, let's go hide in this shed full of chainsaws or whatever. But like this is taking it to another level of bad. So the sister somehow gets into the warehouse. I don't know how, but she somehow gets into the warehouse that's like completely locked, and she's just exploring it. She's exploring this creepy old warehouse looking for her sister and her sister's friend, who are dead, but she doesn't know that. And I'm like, hey, listen, I love my family, but if you're asking me to explore that warehouse by myself on Halloween at like 3 a.m, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm calling the police and be like, hey, there's something weird going on. It's fishy. I'm not going in there by myself. You guys have guns. You can go in there, okay? Like, there's no way I'm gonna do that on my own. Also, like at some point, at what point do you not get suspicious? Like, at what point do you not get suspicious? Like, why would my sister be just chilling deep in the bowels of this warehouse that's been abandoned since freaking the gold rush? Like, why? At what point do you not get suspicious of that? Like, I don't get it. Also, it's so dumb to me that the villain has a gun. Like, the cool part about horror movies is that the main person typically doesn't have a gun. Like, think about it. Think about, like, I mean, I don't like, but like Jason, Freddy, Michael Myers, Ghostface, all the, think about these. They don't have guns. They like slash them up. So like this guy having a gun, in my opinion, was cheating and made it way less interesting. I'm like, oh, he just had a gun. He could just shoot him. That's not really fun. That's just not. There's no fight. You're not earning that, in my opinion. So take that, Art the Clown. And so this sister's exploring the bowels, and it's just so bad. And she's like, she calls the phone, and she hears it. She's like, I know you're in there. Like, guys, this isn't funny. And then she goes in the room, and she sees the friend dead, and she's like, oh my god. And then she ends up running into the clown himself. No, actually, no. What's crazy? So I mentioned the homeless lady very briefly. The homeless lady has this baby, quote unquote, which is actually a doll. But like I said, the homeless lady's insane, so the homeless lady thinks it's an actual baby. And the clown stole it, and he's sitting like in like the underneath tunnels of this warehouse, and he's like cradling it, which is already, I'm like, all right, that's kind of creepy. But it gets so weird. The homeless lady, like, please, do you have mercy in any part of your body? Like, blah blah blah. Have you ever felt like the loving touch of a mother? And so like she tries to be nice, and she like starts like holding the killer clown. So it's like holding him, and he starts sucking his thumb, and I'm like, this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. And it's not like a good kind of weird, like, oh, this is like good writing, it's creepy, I like that. It's just like, all right, this is just like not, who's believing this? And then the next scene, you see the clown and you see the homeless lady. The clown like cut her scalp off and like put it on as a wig. Don't know why. And he was like laying down and pretending to be her. And then like the sister came up and found him and was like, are you okay? Also, like I said, they're in this tunnel. They're in these bowels of like these tunnels. And I don't know why I said bowels. And like the sister like goes down these tunnels like looking for her sister. I'm like, hey, if she's down there, she's dead. Like just think logically. Like why would anybody voluntarily and completely 100% healthy walk down this creepy like hall, like this creepy stairs into like underneath where all the pipes of the building are. Like, there's no way you would voluntarily do that. Okay? And so and then the clown finds her, starts chasing her, and then just starts beating the crap out of her. But then the guy who initially let the Tara into the building, the guy who's fumigating it, he eventually comes out and helps her. But then he gets murdered because, of course, the clown's like invincible, and like you could stab. He's been stabbed and hit a bunch of times, but he's still okay because he's just invincible. And then, so you get to the end of the movie. He kills the worker, the fumigator. So you get to the end of the movie, and like the sisters kind of escaped a little bit, but then he steals a car. The clown somehow steals a car and drives it through like these barn doors, because like there's like these big barn doors on like the warehouse. Drives through it and runs the girl over. And so after she's been like stabbed and beaten by a bunch of stuff, she's like on her last legs, right? Realistically. And so then luckily somebody called the cops. The fumigator called the cops. He called the cops at one point because they were safe for like 2 minutes. And so the cops end up coming, but as the cops arrive, the clown is literally like eating this girl's face. I'm not joking. He's like eating her face. The weirdest thing. And the two cops are just like stop it, stop what you're doing, show me your hands. And so he shows the one hand, and then he reaches down at his ankle for with his right hand. I can't talk. And the cop's like no, and he shoots himself in the head, so he kills himself. And you're like, okay, that's the end of the movie, basically. But no, it's not, guys. It's not the end of the movie, because why would it be? So then the next scene it shows like the coroner's office, and by the way, the dialogue and the way that they're talking in the coroner's office is so bad. Like, the dialogue in the whole movie is bad, but it was extra bad in the coroner's office. And the filter that's on the entire movie, it looks even worse in the coroner's office too. It's just like it's like if I shot it with like my iPhone 7, that's what I feel like it looks like, that movie. Like if I shot it with like the iPhone 5C, like the blue one, like that's what it would look like. And it's just not good. And so like the guy's like, oh, you guys, come on, they're not installing the revolving door for another week or so, but you guys keep coming in and out of here with all these bodies. Come on, I'm already on my 7th cup of coffee or some crap. And I'm like, dude, what? Like, you're a coroner. It's what? Like, I don't know what you expect. And then so, open up the one bag. It's the fumigator, and he's like, oh, Jesus, or whatever. I don't think he had a New York accent, but he does now. And then, so he opens the second bag, which has Art the Clown in it. And he opens up the bag, and guess what? The lights start flickering, and the power starts going out. So apparently Art the Clown is just like, he's just like a freaking demon or something the whole time. I don't know. And then all this stuff happens, and then like the lights and everything comes back on, and it's all normal. And then the coroner's like, oh, that was weird or whatever. And he looks down, and Art the Clown grabs his neck, and then just like slowly sits up. And he kills him, and that's how the movie ends. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me! Like, this guy just shot himself in the head, but he's okay. And like, there was no like hints throughout the entire movie that he would potentially be like a demon or not human. Like, he's very much so seemed like just a mentally deranged human being. And even at the beginning of the movie, I swear you saw him like put on makeup, like put everything on. But like, I watched the whole movie. For what? Like, this guy turned out to be human, or not human, and he turned out to be able to like survive shooting himself in the head, and to be able to like affect the power. It's just so stupid, and I've talked about it for too long, but I just had to talk about it. I had to rant about it because I'm so upset about it. And I hope the way I described the movie made sense in a way to where you guys were like, oh, that movie sounds absolutely horrible. Because I think the way I described it might actually be better than how the movie actually was, because it wasn't as good as it sounds. Like, just the way the shots were, the way the cuts were, like I said, the filter, the color hue, all of it was just very weird. I genuinely think if I had $40,000 to make a movie, I could make I don't necessarily think I could write a better movie. I'm not gonna like say that, because I don't work in that industry. But I think I could have had a movie that looked better visually, like quality wise. Just because like I said, that filter and that hue really threw me off the entire movie. Like, I actually like paused it because I was watching it on my computer. I paused it and I went to like YouTube and I just played a video for like 10 seconds because I wanted to see if like maybe I just had a weird setting on accident that I didn't realize. No, it was just the movie. So it just bugged me. I'm like, you guys had this huge budget and you guys chose to make it look like this. Like, it's like say what you want about the acting and dialogue and all that. That's a different thing. But like you guys actually thought that like, hey, this is how the movie should look. This is how a good horror movie looks. I'm like it just was weird. Like I said, I actually recommend you watch the trailer so you can see how weird like the movie looks. Like if you look at their hair specifically, like the hair makes it look, you can see like the weird filter and stuff on it. All right, so now we're gonna get into rank up, and I do have some, I will say, controversial rank ups coming up. I will say that this one I don't think will be controversial, but I'm gonna be making a couple more for the next few episodes that will definitely. It's not really controversial, but like definitely people will be mad at my opinion on, but that's okay. People already like don't like my opinion on a lot of things, but like when you get to stuff like certain foods or certain things, people will be a lot more opinionated on stuff and will want to vouch for their favorite a lot more. Like I said, it's not really like it's like political or anything, but you'll see in a couple weeks. But today we're going to be doing a rank up on annoying things. So we're going to be ranking up things. We have a list of things here, and we're going to be choosing what I think is the most annoying out of them all. So it's not with the least annoying. So we'll have two things, and whatever I think is the most annoying out of the two will win and move on until we have one most annoying thing, in my opinion. Now, again, it's my opinion. If you feel like something else is more annoying, that's okay. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But it's my podcast, so you got to deal with it. Listen, I know as a white man, like my opinion isn't needed, and I agree with that. But it's my podcast, and these are silly opinions, so that's all that matters. You know, when they're silly opinions, it's okay. When they're other opinions, it's really not. Okay, so first matchup we have slow people in grocery store aisles. Oh my god, that is one of the most annoying things to me. Versus forgetting to put deodorant on, which that's annoying too, but like that really, it's slow people in grocery store aisles. I've actually talked about this on the podcast before. All right, next we have not returning your shopping cart. Oh my god, like honestly, the worst too is when you're pulling in, like you think you find an open spot and then there's just a shopping cart there. I'm like, it's not hard to return. I don't ever really get a shopping cart because I don't like, once I have a family, I probably will. But like, it's not hard to return one. Like it's like another 50 to 100 feet you gotta walk. Just do it. Don't make somebody who's making minimum wage go have to do it, or don't make somebody, just some random person who's trying to shop themselves, have to move it. Like it's just so inconsiderate, so dumb. Versus this one's cut off, so whoever made this is just dumb. But it's people tapping their feet just enough to make you, I don't know if to make you annoyed or to make you hear it. I don't. Why would you cut that off? How about my real pet peeve is when people put text into a box and they don't have the text fit into the box, so I can't read the whole freaking thing. Not returning your shopping cart would win either way. People tapping their feet doesn't really annoy. I'm assuming it just means like people tapping their feet to the point where you can like hear it, or to the point where you become like aware of it and it becomes annoying, which I do get how that could be annoying. It's kind of like if you're sitting next to somebody and their leg is shaking or whatever, and like that could be annoying after an extended period of time. People talking during the movie at the theater, humming along with a song in public. I don't find humming along with a song in public annoying. I would rather them be humming with the song than just be singing it. Like, could you imagine if they're just playing like something on the speakers at Target and just somebody just starts like singing? All right, that's not necessary. Like, people talking during the movie at the theater is so. People talking during the movie in general. If I'm at a theater or at home, or I'm watching it with a group of people, that it just bugs me. I don't like it. Like, especially if it's a movie like I'm really interested in seeing. If it's a bad movie, I don't mind it. Or if it's a movie that's like meh, that's totally fine. But like, if it's a movie that I'm really into, like I don't like it when like people talk during movies. It's very annoying to me. Okay, so next matchup we have eating loudly versus running late when you can't help it. What do you mean when you can't help it? Like traffic or... I don't find running late when you can't help it that annoying. It can be annoying. I do like to be on time to everything. And I'm not always on time to things because of reasons, but like I don't find it that annoying because it's never that important, you know what I mean? I would say honestly, eating loudly would be more annoying to me than running late when I can't. Like if it's me running late, like that's on me. Like even if I can't help it, it's like that's on me. I should have left earlier probably or whatever. Or like if there was like an accident and there's a bunch of traffic, like I at least have a legitimate excuse as to why I'm late. But if it's like I'm just running late because I left too late, like that's on me. Like people should be annoyed at me. But if it's me running late, like if it's me running late when I can't, like if it's me running late when I can't help it, it's like that's on me. Like that's people should be annoyed at me. Like that's on me. Like that's people should be annoyed at me. Like that's people should be annoyed at me. Like that's people should be annoyed at me. Like that's
I'm gonna go eating loudly, unless it's talking about like other people running late, which I do hate when people are late to things, because like it is very, very annoying when you have something set for like 12:30 and people aren't there until like 1:30. I'm like, all right, cool, that's just wasted an hour of my time. Okay, so next matchup is stubbing your toe versus when you finish washing the dishes but you forgot a pan or two. I would say honestly, what would be more annoying than that is when like somebody adds a dish or two to the like pile, like to it. But I don't find it that annoying. I mean, washing dishes is kind of, I don't want to say fun, but it's not bad. Like when I used to wash dishes at my fast food job, like I preferred washing dishes, especially like after busy days. Like you could be washing dishes for like anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour and a half, depending on how many dishes there were. And it was fun. Yeah, you're just back there, you're vibing, you're relaxing. You just kind of get into a groove, and it can go by really quickly depending on what it is. It's honestly fun. So I'll go with stubbing your toe. I never really would mind when people would add more like dishes to or when I would forget one or two things in the dish, like while washing dishes. I would prefer to have it completely done than to just be like, oh, just one or two, I'll just leave them. That bugs me more than anything. All right, next up we have when you're about to sneeze but it goes away versus cars that don't turn off their blinkers. Oh wow, that's a good matchup. I will say honestly, when cars don't turn off their blinkers, I do think the sneeze thing is annoying. Don't get me wrong, but it's not too bad. It doesn't happen like super often for me, but cars that don't turn off their blinkers happens all the time, and that's just so annoying to me. I'm like they like switch lanes and then they're just still their left blinkers on. I'm like, all right. I mean, to be fair, at least they use their blinker, unlike most cars, but it's still annoying. Telling a story and realize no one's listening versus earbuds getting tangled. Well, I have AirPods, so I can't relate to that. Even when the earbuds would get tangled, it didn't bug me that much, to be honest. So I'm gonna say telling a story and realize no one's listening. That can be disheartening. Like when you're like really excited to tell a story and you're like talking about it, or tell a joke or whatever, and you like start saying it, and then like you realize no one's listening. You're just like, all right, cool. Like that really can honestly, for me, when I like to make people laugh, that's like, all right, that's like stabbing me in the chest. All right, when someone has a secret but they won't tell you, who made this, a 12-year-old? When somebody has a secret but they won't tell you, that's right, Tiffany, I'm talking about you. When you're getting out of a building or out of your car and your glasses get it's cut off, dude. Oh my goodness, I honestly, I'm changing the second one, because the secret one I don't care. Like the secret one I don't care at all. Like I'm not 12. Like but the second one I'm gonna change to when people put text in a picture or something, but they don't make the text fit in the picture, so you can't read everything. So that's what's winning. When you can't read the text in a picture because they don't make it fit. That's what's going on. That might win the whole thing, because that's happened twice already and it's annoying. All right. Second round of this side is slow people in grocery store aisles versus not returning your shopping cart. Oh. See, I feel like not returning your shopping cart is honestly like, it's just such a nice, it's like the social norm. It's like, all right, just do it. You know what I mean? Like that's just kind of why we do it. Like we're trusting you to not steal it, and we're trusting you to put it back, like so we can have we want to be a functioning society, but yet we can't put shopping carts back. Like, come on, guys, come on. Like, how are we supposed to be a functioning society? But slow people in grocery aisles are so annoying, and especially when it's like, I've mentioned this before, when it's like a family and they're just all like, they're all in a straight line as opposed to like 2 and 2 or whatever. I'm like, hey, we don't need to all be walking hand in hand like we're walking across America and holding hands. Like, we don't need to be Red Rovering this. I don't need to be called over and like having to duck under you or whatever. So I'm going slow people in grocery store aisles. People talking during the movie at the theater versus eating loudly. Like, eating loudly doesn't bug me. If they were chewing with their mouth open, that would bug me. But eating loudly is different. So I'm going with people talking during the movie at the theater. I'll be honest, or just people talking during movies in general. But I'll be honest, I don't really pay attention to people eating. So I'm not like intently listening on how they're eating, because I'm usually eating myself. So like I wouldn't be able to hear it, because I'm just munching myself. Stubbing your toe versus cars that don't turn off their blinkers. Stubbing your toe does suck, but cars that turn off their blinkers just bugs me. Stubbing your toe is a bit annoying, but it's just more painful than annoying, in my opinion. All right, telling a story and realizing that no one's listening versus when there's text in a picture but they don't make it fit so you can't read the whole thing. I'm going with the text because that's really bugging me right now, so we're going with the text in the picture. Slow people in grocery store aisles versus people talking during the movies. Oh, man, that's probably two of my biggest pet peeves right there. I'm going to go with slow people in the grocery store aisle. People talking during the movie is annoying, but that doesn't happen very often compared to like there's almost always a slow person in the grocery store aisle if you go. So cars that turn off their blinker versus when people put text in a picture and they don't make the text fit the picture. I'm gonna go with, as annoying as the text one is, I'm gonna go with the cars that don't turn off their blinkers because that bugs me very much. And I would say honestly, what bugs me more than that is when cars don't use a blinker and like you're behind them and they just start braking for no reason and then they just turn right into like a driveway and I'm like, hey, if you could have told me that. You could have told me that. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? All right, so next we have slow people in grocery store aisles versus cars that don't turn off their blinkers. I'm going with slow people in grocery store aisles. I don't know if that's a popular opinion, but like I don't like when people are so slow. It just bugs me. Like, I don't understand how people can be so slow. I get, like, the older you get, the less spry you are, but man, some people are just like taking their freaking time. And I'm like, all right, like, it's not all about you. And then they like, or like when they have like the cart and it's like taking up the whole thing. I'm like, they have it perpendicular. I'm like, hey, you can turn this so like we can all fit, you know? And they probably won't even return that cart anyways. All right, next we're on the other side of the bracket now. We have a slightly open door versus people who take up 2 parking spots. Ooh, wow, that's tough. That's tough because it's either have the door fully open or have it closed. There's no, like, the slightly is the annoying thing. I agree with that. But people who take up 2 parking spots, that bugs me more than anything because I know I could just park elsewhere technically, but depending on the parking lot, if it's a packed parking lot, I might have to park way further than I could have if this person would have just been considerate. It bugs me more, like, if it's a big truck, I can understand it to a degree, but also it's like, hey, if you have a big truck, learn to park it. Like, if you can't drive it, don't buy it. Like, learn to park your car in a way to where you're not taking up 14 spots for somebody else. Like, I get if you have a big and long truck or whatever, that sometimes maybe the back might stick out a little bit or whatever. Like that, I understand that completely. But like, you don't need to have 2 wheels in one and then 2 wheels in another. Like, there's no reason for that. And I do see a lot of trucks that do that because a lot of truck drivers just think that I have a big old truck. What, they can't tell me what to do. It's my right. I'm going with people who take up 2 parking spots. It's more annoying when they're small cars and they're like just slightly over the line. I'm like, dude, you have a small car. Like, how can you not park this? Like, you're driving a freaking Hot Wheel and you can't even fit it into like the parking spot. Like, it's ridiculous. I don't understand. It's so bad. Like, and also here's the thing. If you know that you parked bad, fix it. Like, I know it can be kind of like, I don't want to say humiliating, but kind of embarrassing to like have to like back up and then go back into the spot. But sometimes you got to do it. And I'd rather do that than to take up another spot to where somebody else can't park and be that guy. So next, we have people who take your parking spot versus road work. I've never really had a situation where somebody takes my parking spot where I was like, oh, come on. Like, I've never, like, that happens. And I feel like if you're behind somebody in a parking lot and you're both looking for a spot in a row of cars, you should expect them to take the next open spot. So I'm going with road work. Road work isn't necessarily annoying, but I feel like they choose the weirdest times to do the road work. They're like, hey, we're gonna do this on a Friday at like 5:30. And it's like, why would you do that during like the most busy time of like, why would you do that on like the busiest row at the busiest time? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And like what I don't like about road work, and there's a road near my house that's like this. They like did a bunch of construction for whatever, or road work for whatever, and like now the road is not even. So you'll drive, there'll be a bump, and you'll drive a little more, there'll be like and it's not like a speed bump, but it's just like uneven pavement because there's new pavement versus the old pavement, and it's just like bump, and then like bump, and it's just like, dude, you're just gonna mess up my car. Like the equilibrium of my car's gonna get messed up. Come on. But that's what bugs me more. It's like, all right, you did your road work, but make it good. Don't just leave it. Like I'm just driving in a freaking like a go-kart, not a go-kart, like a freaking four-wheeler but over a bunch of rocks. Like why? Like don't just do your job. Your job was to do your work, and then don't just like, all right, this is good. Everybody's just gonna be bumping, and their tires are gonna be all messed up, and everything's gonna be it's whatever. Who cares? Like I'm suing my city. If you want to sue my city, comment down below. I'm just kidding. It's not as bad as like San Francisco or LA roads, so I don't know why I'm complaining. All right, next we have forgetting your password versus mansplaining. All right, well, forgetting your password is annoying, but here's the thing about if you don't know what mansplaining, I'm just kidding. I was gonna mansplaining. Forgetting your password is only annoying when it's like you go through the process of it and you click forgot password, you get the email, and you go to do a new password, and it's like your new password can't be your old password. It's like I entered that in though, so that's annoying. But I think I do think mansplaining is annoying. I probably have done it before. I'm not going to say I haven't. But when I see it on the internet, I'm like, dude, like when like guys try to explain something that a girl would know a lot better. Like when guys try telling a girl about their body, oh my God. I'm like, hey, they have the parts. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be like if I were to go to a mechanic and be like, hey, I know what my car needs, even though I don't know anything about cars really. But it's like, they're like, well, it's my, like, I know what the part, like, no, don't worry about it. I'm going mansplaining, honestly. Like, and I feel like any woman or girl's like, yes, that's annoying. So I just, like, guys, just, you don't have to, like, girls are, there's probably stats, but I feel like girls are slightly, at the least slightly, if not more, smarter than men as a whole, like, species. You know what I mean? As a whole gender. So, like, we don't have to explain, like, you don't need to explain everything to them, okay? And even if they didn't know what you're talking about, you don't have to explain it in like a degrading way. You know what I mean? You don't have to patronize them. All right, so next we have kids, just kids, versus customers waiting and not knowing what they want. Oh, that is when customers don't know what they want. That can be annoying. Okay. I don't think kids are that annoying. I think some kids are annoying. Obviously, there's bad apples in every bag. But I think when it's your kids, that's like if it was my kids, it would be less annoying. I'm gonna go with when customers like are waiting forever. I think that's what I say. Customers waiting forever and then not knowing what they want when they get to like the drive-through window or to the cash register. That is annoying because it's like, hey, you were waiting, like there was like 5 people ahead of you and you couldn't like decide what you wanted in that time. People chewing gum with their mouth open or going to get something but then forgetting what you were going to get. Oh, that's kind of annoying, but chewing with the mouth open is so bad. It's so obnoxious. When the internet is slow or broken versus really slow drivers. It's really slow drivers always. It's always really slow drivers. Something stuck in between your teeth versus having to wait for your ride. I don't know what that means. I haven't had to wait for my ride very much since like I was like a sophomore in high school maybe. Not even. I don't even know the last time I had to wait for a ride. So something stuck in between your teeth. It's because it's like you can find it with your tongue, but then like you go to like pick it out with your finger, and then you can't find it. I'm like, that's annoying. And I also have a bottom retainer, so I'll get stuff stuck in the bottom retainer, and that's annoying because then it's like I have to like I have to like perform surgery to get it out. A hole in your sock versus when the toothpaste runs out. I mean, is the toothpaste running out really that annoying? Like that's just how life is. I say a hole in your sock, especially if it's like one of the toes. Yeah, that's really annoying. All right, next round we have people who take up 2 parking spots versus road work. I'm going 2 parking spots. Next we have mansplaining versus customers who are waiting in line and then not knowing what they want. Dude, I'm gonna go mansplaining. Mansplaining is just annoying. It's just because there's like a level of arrogance to it, and the level of arrogance is what bugs me. See, the thing about mansplaining, no, I'm just kidding. People chewing gum with their mouth open versus really slow drivers. Wow, that's tough. That to me should be like this could arguably be the championship matchup. Because, like I said, chewing with the mouth open is so annoying. But slow drivers bug me so much. And it's typically always really, really old people. And I said this before on the podcast, but I think you should have to retake your driver's test. Like, you get that thing at 15, 16, 17, 18, whenever you get it. And then you don't got to take a test again. What is that about? Like, that makes no sense to me. You should have to retake that, like, every 20 years at the most. If not less. 10, 15, I don't know. But, like, the fact that there's, like, 85 to 95-year-olds that have been driving since, 70 years ago. 70, 60 years ago. Oh, man. Since, 1962? Like, I mean, come on. They should have to retake that. Like, they were driving horse and buggies, and now they're driving automobiles, and we're just letting them? Like, come on, guys. What are we doing? Man, that's really hard. I'm going to go slow drivers. Chewing gum with the mouth open is really, really annoying, but... Oh, no, dude. I don't know. With slow drivers, though, you can typically, for the most part, go around them, I guess, unless it's just a single lane. I'm actually going to go chewing with the mouth open. I don't really get road rage, but, like, a lot of stuff driving bugs me. And slow drivers, no blinker, and then forgetting to turn the blinker off are all 3 things that really, really bug me. But chewing with the mouth open is just... Chewing gum, anything with mouth open is so... But just when you're watching, like, even like a TV show or a movie and they have a character that's purposefully doing that, oh, it bugs me. All right, next we have something stuck between your teeth versus hole in your sock. We're going something stuck between your teeth. All right, people who take up 2 parking spaces versus mansplaining. I'm going 2 parking spaces. Because it's just, not only is it annoying, but it's just inconsiderate. And when you're not being considerate to like other people, that's what's annoying to me. People chewing gum with the mouth open versus something stuck in between your teeth. I'm going chewing gum with their mouth open. All right, so now we have people who take up 2 parking spots versus people who chew gum with their mouth open. I'm honestly going to go with the chewing gum with their mouth open. It's just so annoying to hear that clacking, the clicking, whatever. It's just, the 2 parking spaces is super annoying too, though. And it's very inconsiderate, but they're both inconsiderate. I'm like, it's just like, don't do it. Which leads us to the championship round, which is slow people in grocery store aisles versus people chewing gum with their mouth open. Honestly, people chewing with their gum with their mouth open is gonna win. People chewing anything with their mouth open is just super annoying. Like, slow people in grocery store aisles, you can get around them, but like if you're hanging out with somebody or talking with somebody and they're doing that, like, it's harder to avoid them in that situation. So I'm gonna go with people chewing gum with their mouth open, or if you want to just say chewing with their mouth open, either way, it's annoying and I hate it. So that is the winner. If you feel differently, I understand. A lot of those things were very annoying. Some of them I didn't find that really annoying at all, but some of those were very annoying. And honestly, like, maybe depending on my mood, could have gone either way. Like, slow drivers could have won that, in my opinion. So that's that. That's our rank up, and that's gonna be our episode. Man, this has gone a lot longer than I wanted. Oh, not that I wanted, but than I expected. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be back in 2 weeks. I don't have much to say. We're back in 2 weeks. Man, I can't do this outro right now. What's wrong with me? If you want to follow TikTok, you can follow the TikTok links down below. If you want to subscribe to the YouTube, if you're not already subscribed to the YouTube, the link will be down below for that as well. That's it. Like I said, I will see you guys in 2 weeks. Wishing you guys good mental health going forward. I hope you guys enjoy the little bit of summer that's left, since we're going to be going into fall within a couple weeks of this coming out. So, again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you next time. Peace.